Let's dig into something I think, well, everyone experiences in learning. You know that feeling. You have the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But the second you need it somewhere new, poof, it's gone.
Right. That's often called inert knowledge.
Yeah?
You can ace the test, maybe recite the definition perfectly,
Yeah.
but then the context shifts even just a little bit, and suddenly you can't quite apply it.
Yeah.
Our sources today really frame the true goal of learning as, getting past that fragility.
Absolutely. So the mission for us in this deep dive is really to understand the mechanics behind knowledge that's actually ready to deploy.
Okay.
That core thing, being able to pull out a principle you learned over here in context A and then use it successfully way over there in context Z, where everything on the surface looks totally different.
And that's exactly what the science calls transfer of learning.
Transfer of learning.
Yeah, that's the real acid test for mastery, isn't it? It means applying knowledge or maybe procedures that you picked up in one setting to tasks that might look wildly different on the surface, but underneath, they share that same relevant relational structure. If you can't transfer it, well, you don't truly own it.
And the key distinction the sources are drawing seems to be between those deep principles, the underlying structure you mentioned, and all the distracting surface features.
Exactly.
Like if I'm learning how to budget, maybe the surface feature is I'm using this specific spreadsheet app, or I'm focused on my rent payment this month.
Right. And if you only memorize the steps for that one specific app, your skill is brittle. It's stuck in that context.
Okay.
But the deep principle might be something like cash flow management or understanding compound interest. If you grasp that, you can move from your personal budget spreadsheet to, say, analyzing corporate finance reports because you're seeing past the superficial details, the color of the problem, if you will.
That really clarifies why getting this transfer to happen needs more than just, I don't know, rote practice. You have to encode what our source material is calling conditionalized knowledge.
Conditionalized knowledge, yeah, that's key. It means knowing not just what the principle is,
Right.
but also when it applies, why it applies, and crucially, under which constraints or conditions it holds true, or when you might need to adapt it.
So you know the rule, but you also know when the situation might demand you bend or even break the rule.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that is what helps prevent that freezing up you get with inert knowledge when things aren't exactly like the textbook example.
Okay, so if deep understanding, this conditionalized knowledge, is the goal, how do you actually actively train for that kind of agility?
Well, this is where that platform strategy mentioned the source comes in. The idea is having the user apply the exact same core principle, but across multiple varied contexts.
Forced variation, essentially.
That variation is like the engine driving the transfer. It forces you to stop relying on those superficial cues, those surface features.
But hang on, if you're constantly changing the context, isn't that just harder? Take the example given. A leader using a feedback model. Why make them jump from a high performer to an underperformer so quickly? Wouldn't it be simpler to just practice, say, with high performers until they've really nailed the script?
Simpler, maybe.
Yeah.
Easier in the short term, yes. But it wouldn't effectively teach transfer. Think about that specific example. Using the same feedback model, first with a top employee, then immediately with someone who's struggling.
The surface conversation's totally different, right?
Completely different. One's about encouraging more great work. The other might be about correcting some serious issues.
Exactly. The surface action feels very different, but the underlying core structure of the feedback model.
It's still the same. The leader is using that framework to guide the conversation towards behavior change, regardless of the specific behavior.
Precisely. The deep principle, maybe it's about constructive framing or behavioral specificity, remains identical. So by practicing applying that same model across these really different scenarios, you build the mental muscle.
That's it. You build mental agility, cognitive flexibility.
Yeah.
You're training your brain to quickly spot the underlying skeleton of the problem, even when the surface details look totally new. And then you can pull out the right tool for the job.
So what this approach aims for, then, is making sure the effort you put into learning actually translates into knowledge that's ready to go, deployment ready.
Yeah, you're building skills that are resilient, that are applicable, designed to actually show up when things get messy and unpredictable.
It's moving beyond just collecting facts.
Right, towards building expertise you can actually use.
So, okay, here's something for you, the listener, to think about after this discussion. If real mastery means being able to strip away all that context to find the deep, unchanging principle, how often, maybe in your own daily work or learning, Are you mistaking a skill that's really tied to one specific situation, like knowing just the buttons to click in the software, for genuine, deep understanding that you could actually transfer somewhere else?